Did you hit start?
Yeah.
Oh. Hi, that's all right. You don't have to edit it. All right, hi guys. So we're starting our night sky painting activity, and before we do that, we need to do a little bit of warm-up work. So I'm thinking we'll need about 15 minutes to do this activity, and then we'll immediately start the night sky, and you'll see a separate video for that. So everybody has a strip of paper, and this paper is going to be for your value scale. And basically we're doing this, let me show you, with watercolor. We're gonna go from, you're gonna pick one color and go from light to dark of that color, and you're also gonna do a sphere. That way you can practice blending colors and how to control water. So what I'm gonna have you do is take a ruler, and on the right side of your paper, you are going to make a little mark every inch. Stop at 8. Okay, now this does not have to be like totally perfect, but remember, this is gonna be hole punched and put in your journal. So the left side of the paper is gonna have holes in it. So just do it on the right side. All right, then what you're gonna do is to make your value scale, I'm just gonna make it relatively straight. There we go. Then I'm gonna draw a circle on the bottom. And this is gonna be for my sphere. So again, we have our sphere, and then we have our color scale. It's called a color scale. Okay. Pick one color. So if you guys go to your boxes on your table, you have your palettes underneath, and then you have a box of tube paints. Don't use that. Just use the palette. And then there's a whole lot of brushes to choose from. What I want you to pick though, I want you to pick out a flat brush. There's different sizes, but they all look like rectangles at the end. Don't pick this. This is a wash brush. That will hold too much water. And don't pick this. This is a round brush. This is meant for detailing. So pick a flat brush. Now what you're gonna do is pick one color. I don't care which one, I'm just gonna pick red. And what you're gonna do is you are going to activate the color by adding water. Now the way that you do values is the more water, the lighter, the more water you add, the lighter it gets. So I'm gonna start with my dark, 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 and then I'm gonna add a little bit more water, and then even more water, and then more water, and then more water. So we're basically going from light to dark. I'm going to start with my lightest tone, and I am going to carefully paint so that I have a very light tone there. And then I'm gonna go to the next color, so it should get a little darker, and I'm going to bring the bead of water down. So now that's a little darker. And when I say the bead of water, it's like a puddle. See that? It's like a puddle. So I'm gonna bring that down into the next section. And I'm gonna paint that. Now for this activity, do not wet the paper first. We will be wetting the paper first for the night sky, but don't do that. So there's the bead of paint that forms, and I'm just going to bring it down to the next section and add a little bit more pigment, which is the paint, the color, so it gets darker. And now I need a little bit more. And that's too dark, right? That's too big of a jump. So I'm just gonna bring that down. And actually that's probably a good value right there. But I need a little bit more pigment. Don't be afraid to pick the paper up and allow gravity to do its thing, which is to help move the water down. All right, now I'm gonna go to my darkest value. So see how helpful it was to make my colors first? And I'm going to add a little bit more. And then I'm going to go directly into the tube here for the pan for the next color. By the way, if you run out of a color, I have refills of individual colors. Just let me know and I'll fill you back up. So again, how do you guys make lighter values? You're right, you're so smart. You add more water. Good job. Okay, so now what you're gonna do is you're going to work on your spheres. So I have the shadow going to the left, which means that the light is to the right. And I'm gonna leave a little bit of a white there. And if you look, I'm going into my water. And the whole thing is now wet with one color. So I'm gonna go into my next color here. And I'm going to allow it to work onto the wet, so wet onto wet, so that it blends beautifully and spreads out. And I'm kind of painting in a circular motion. And now I'm gonna add my next darker color. And I'm just allowing it to spread. And then I'm gonna go right to the tube. I mean, not the tube, I'm sorry, the, what's it called? Pan. Right to the pan. And I'm gonna add a little bit more red. And then I did it again for that shadow. And that's pretty much it. Now, the only thing you might want to do is decide if something spread too much or if you had too much paint. You can use your paper towel or you could use your sponge. I do this all the time with my painting. It's a back and forth process, but you just like remove and then you even it out. So I think that looks a little better. While it's wet, you have that flexibility to manipulate it. That's what I want you guys to learn here. You really have to like pay attention to what you're doing, take your time. Now, if this was like an actual painting, I would have you guys then start learning how to mix colors. But starting with one color and using one color well is really essential. So get this activity done. I'm gonna give you about 20 minutes, and then I'm gonna show you the next video of how to start your night sky painting.